It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazaway. Let's talk some sports.
Hey, let's go. Monday show, March 4th, 2024. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com, fox2detroit.com, and the Fox Local app if you're watching live. If you're watching on YouTube, part of the over 62,000 subscribers on this platform, thank you so much for tuning in. Maz is off today, so the Maz chair is empty. But who needs Maz today when we have just really, Braylon, all the love and, I mean, you saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
And we talked a little bit about it on Friday, and I think in the moment, you know, I'm not sure, you know, really if we were understanding, processing what exactly had happened, and you take a step back, you take a deep breath, and you're like, damn, Bray, this thing is everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I just appreciate all the people that reached out and wished me well wishes. Definitely, I was fine on my end. I know they zoomed in on my hand on the interview. I mean, you know, I had to do what I had to do. But like you said, you know, we were in the moment on Friday, and I came in and we talked about it, talked about what happened. And, you know, I thought that, one, I didn't know he was as old as he was. Remember, because I kept saying the guy was about 62, 63. I didn't know. I mean, I knew that it could have been a serious situation if I didn't step in. But it wasn't until the detective called me Friday night, the lead detective on the case, Detective Jacobs. He said, hey, just want to let you know before we take your final statement, if you didn't intervene, this guy would be dead. Like, cops talk plain, you know, and there's no, you know, trying to figure things out. Like, cops talk plain. They talk black and white. He said, if you didn't step in, this guy's life would have been gone. So he thanked me, and I think that's when it started setting in. I just saw the well wishes from, like, you know, people I haven't talked to in a long time, people that I don't know. The New York Jets always show love. They big me up, which was amazing, and just my friends and family. And I think
who have you gotten texts from?
Rex Ryan, Pete Carroll, some of my former teammates, Jason Taylor. It's an interesting thing too, because I think we just live in this world where everybody's always recording, and I think in the moment, the big thing for me was like, don't react, like, just be natural, and so that's how it happened. But I just didn't want to do what I always hate. I hate the recording. I hate people not helping. I hate people not stepping in, and I'm glad that I was able to do what I say I didn't like.
For people out there that weren't with us on Friday, but have heard bits and pieces of the story, can you just kind of walk us through what happened on Friday at the YMCA? You're just there getting a workout in, and then afterwards you get to the locker room.
Yeah, so I finished working out, went to the locker room, and I'm in the front of the locker room. I'm sitting down, switching shirts so I can get ready to go home. Don't want to catch a cold. And there's some commotion going on in the back. And there's some yelling, there's some screaming as it relates to music decibel volume. It's too high. Two guys get into it, hear some pushing and shoving, and eventually start to hear some fists, and eventually start to hear a thud, like somebody got a head banged against something. So once it was the bang, hey, look, man, I'm not trying to be in people's business. Although this is the Y, like, I'm like, what 62-year-old guys are scrapping at the Y? But I go back there, and the guy is clearly younger than another guy. He's clearly older, and the guy's taking advantage of him. And he was about to bang his head against the ground or against the counter. And so I was able to grab him, take him away from the situation, and get him out the way. And then eventually the EMS came, and the guy took off. So I was able to kind of stop him from getting that last good lick in, if you will.
And when you told us about the story on Friday, you kept calling him a 62-year-old guy. You didn't realize he was 80.
Yeah, and that makes you even more mad at the situation. You know, like, why is this 25-year-old guy messing with this 80-year-old guy? Why is he taking this? And why is he continuously doing that? But 80 years old, like, that's crazy. Like, Ryan, like, this guy survived COVID 4 years ago at 75, 76, and he didn't survive all that just to come to the Y and have to worry about a life or death situation. That can be somebody's grandfather. That can be, my CP. I love CP, and you get mad if I tell you his real age, but CP's close to that age. That could be my father. Mm-hmm. So I just think, I'm glad that he was able to pull through, man.
Now, has his family or any? Is he still in the hospital? Do we know?
I think he's in the hospital. He's much better now, but I haven't heard from his family. I haven't heard from that side of his family, so I don't know. I'm kind of waiting to hear from them. I don't even know the guy's name, if you will, so I'm still waiting because the detectives, they wouldn't release that information to me on Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
But they told it to you plain as day. I mean, if you didn't step in to restrain that individual, that person probably would no longer be with us. That is an incredible.
I think it's crazy not to cut you off. Like, one of the biggest people that I saw, say something about it was like Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah.
Like, you sent that to me.
I did.
And Michelle Tafoya, I've been a fan forever. So like, I actually sent back. I'm like, oh man, I'm a big fan. Like, so that's crazy. Like, this has gotten national attention, and it's not anything I wanted. I just didn't want that situation to go the other way.
Well, I think part of the reason for the national attention about it too is just the human element that you displayed. You're just sitting there trying to work out. You're minding your own business. You saw something that was happening that was not right. Somebody couldn't defend himself, and you stepped in. And I think that is what heroes are made of. Yeah. And God bless you, man. I'm a big believer that God puts us in these situations at the right place at the right time to do good. And man, thank God you were working out that day.
I appreciate that, man. It's crazy. Like, everybody uses the term hero, and I think for us, like, I'm like, man, get out of here. Nobody. But the more and more people say it, the more people talk about it in terms of what the situation was. I think for me, I'm a shy guy, so I think a natural defense mechanism of a shy guy. Yes, Braylon Edwards, I am shy. I'm a Pisces, but I think the natural mechanism is to defer and to put off and say, it's not that big of a deal. Try to change the subject. But my friends haven't let me change the subject. Like, my friends are the biggest fans, and they've talked about what this is. I've got a lot of Batman jokes. Is somebody in trouble over there? Is somebody's car about to get towed?
I don't know. I think somebody's getting towed.
Hey, it's funny because for the first time in forever, I haven't parked on that side. So I know it's not me.
Right.
You're trying to see if
you gotta love Birmingham, man.
And they will get you.
Oh man,
they will get you. But I think all the jokes from Nader in her room, all the Batman jokes are the funniest.
Yeah, the Batman.
They're definitely Batman.
They calling you Batman now?
They're calling me Batman, man. You know what I'm saying? The Cape Crusader.
Right. Oh my gosh, incredible, man. Well, we are so proud of you, man, and happy to sit next to you every day. And I'm glad people are getting a sense nationally to hear your name again in such a positive light, and to show your true colors and everything like that. So God bless you, man. Thanks for being there, and you showed up to work that day too. How about that?
Hey, look at that. And today, man. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty incredible stuff.
I don't want to get my check's pay cut.
Absolutely. All right, guys, so we're going to take a break. Let's take a break right now, and then we'll kind of restart the show. I just wanted to open up with that, and then we'll get into the sports piece of this. But first, a message from Kool-Aid.
Wake up, Woodward. What up, though, people? Woodward Sports has a new morning show. Start your day with Wake Up Woodward, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. live on Woodward Sports. Join myself, Kool-Aid, right? Flannel, Sam, Broder, JB, and KG every morning as we cover all of Detroit's sports, man. It's Sports Talks banner and live fan interaction, all on Detroit's #1 sports network. That is Woodward Sports.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
That's right. You can meet Big D Energy at the Michigan Green Industry Association event with Alta Equipment. Neil Rule and Darren McCarty are going to be live Tuesday, March 5th. That's tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come by the Suburban Collection Showplace, 46100 Grand River Avenue in Novi. Featuring the latest products, technology, and services from exhibitors, including everything for your home, lawn, and garden equipment, chemicals, hardscapes, irrigation, and all related equipment and services, and much more. The Michigan Green Industry Association event with Alta Equipment and Big D Energy. Gentlemen.
All right, thanks so much, Pete. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards here. Of course, Kool-Aid in the house. What's that?
The car is safe.
No, it's so funny. Like this parking situation in Birmingham is pretty
one of the
unique
worst
thing. Yeah. And somebody's getting towed right outside the studio right now, and all of us, I think, in the building just like ran outside to see which car they were towing. And like 4 guys in the back said, "Give me your keys."
Oh, I saw Brady right up there too.
I'm like, thank God I'm not getting towed. But nonetheless, hey, Bray, did you see your girl Caitlin Clark? Now, for those of you that don't watch the show regularly, Braylon Edwards has been talking about Caitlin Clark for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, she is the all-time leader in Division I scoring, men and women.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal to see what she's been able to do. For the sport, and I won't say sport for women's. I'm talking about just in general, just for the sport of basketball, being able to break the Division I record, which is held by Pistol Pete Maravich. No one ever thought that record would be broke. We thought a guy from UAD who had 7 years to do it had a chance last year, but Caitlin Clark breaks the record. She breaks the most threes, Division I as well. She's just fun in doing it, man. Like the way you watch the game from her, she makes men watch her game. More men watch women's basketball right now than ever before. More men watch women's basketball at the college level, the collegiate level, than they watch men's basketball at the collegiate level. And she's official, and she's bad, man. You watch her play, she's fun to watch too.
Braylon, it was a Sunday afternoon, and I was sitting there at 1 o'clock watching women's college basketball, and that's no slight to.
I'm proud of you,
you
man.
know, I mean,
2 years ago, like pulling teeth.
It was. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was like pulling teeth, and no disrespect to the women's game at all, but there have been many great players before her, but the way she plays is, obviously I'm not saying anything that hadn't been said before, but it really is like watching Steph Curry, what he did for the men. Dr. J and Michael Jordan and LeBron James and they all played the same. When Steph Curry came along, we had never seen that before. Somebody that can just step over half court, and that's their range. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark has become for the women's game. The ratings outrate the men.
Yep.
The season tickets, the season opener for the Indiana Fever next year, who have the number 1 pick of the draft, ticket prices have gone up 300%. What impact Caitlin Clark has on this sport is something unlike anything we've ever seen before.
They know $80.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It might be in the hundreds.
No, it should be in the hundreds. I mean, you watch the game like that. Like, that's what we wanted to do. And I think finally you see something like what could transfer over. I think that's the big thing you were looking for with men's and basketball. Like, this actually transfer over in terms of watching the chick boom boom come across half and pull. Like, you can watch that from anybody. It doesn't matter what that person is. When you watch somebody that has game like that, put a step back in your face, in your mouth, boom. Like, it's fun to watch. Like, it's the type of basketball I like.
Mm-hmm, no doubt about it. So I wanted to make mention off the top of the show. Now to the NFL draft, guys. The NFL Combine wrapped up in Indianapolis the other day, and now you see all the stories, right?
Uh-oh.
Now
Ryan
you see
Ermanni.
all the stories. And of
JJ
course,
McCarthy.
Of course, JJ McCarthy had one throw that was nowhere near the guy. It goes over the head, and everybody's this guy's not so good after all. But JJ McCarthy's name is rocketing up the boards. Braylon, I've seen him now, and this is some of the throws that you're getting a look at the NFL Combine. He really helped himself again. We knew he would when he'd get with the interviews, when he'd interview with teams. I have seen him now in mocks as high as 3 to the Giants. Giants trading up to get him. I've seen him as high as 3.
Yeah, 100%, Ryan. We've stated the case. And look, man, and I had nothing against JJ McCarthy. I always told you the best thing for JJ was going to be when the combine happened. He was going to be able to test well. He would be able to interview well, and that's when his draft stock would skyrocket. And Ryan, that's exactly what they have you. But you have talked about JJ being that guy from jump. You talked about the type of leader he was. You talked about the type of athleticism that you saw over his 3 years at the University of Michigan. You talked about the winner that he is. One of the great comments that JJ made during the interview process, they were asking him about stats and numbers and all these things. He said, hey, look, that's not for you. He said the only number I was focused on was winning, and we did a lot of that at University of Michigan. So, I mean, he's the perfect interviewer. And he got thicker. Pause. I mean, look at the guy. He put on some muscle. Put on some muscle out there. I saw his neck was a little thicker. You saw his guns were a little bigger. He was interviewing. He was a little more confident out there. He was throwing some throws that were right on the money. He had some fun. And look, he went toe to toe with the best of them that were there. Joe Milton. I mean, his arm is just ridiculous.
That was incredible how far Joe Milton could throw the ball.
People that know him from University of Michigan, the arm was never the issue. The arm for Joe Milton was never the issue. But watching JJ McCarthy, look at this. I mean, this is the throw right here. That throw's on the money. Receivers got to catch that. You saw the throws on the right side. The post corner was his favorite route. Those post corners on the right sideline, he was putting right on the dime. Here's another throw right there, just for a guy who gets inbound. He's gonna be a leader too, and I think that's the thing that you got to look for in quarterbacks today. Who can be a leader? I think we've gotten away from Ryan, and this is something I'm just thinking about now. I think we've gotten so into the athletic ability, what can you do, moving the chains, being creative like Josh Allen or like Lamar Jackson, the extra sexy thing, the Patrick Mahomes. We've gotten away from, are you a leader? Can you be a leader of men? Can you lead a team? Can you lead a franchise? Because when you're the starting quarterback, the owner, the head coach is going to have to put the keys in your hands to lead this franchise and to get them to do great things, much like a Patrick Mahomes, much like a Josh Allen has almost done to a certain extent, and much like a guy down in Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Can you be a leader of men? And I think that's where he's winning head and shoulders above every other candidate, including Caleb Williams, including Drake May, including Jaden Daniels. He's a leader of men, and not just any men. The national championship, man.
I was watching this NFL Combine on Saturday, especially. You had Blake Corum out there, and you had JJ McCarthy out there.
Hell of a combine by Blake, man.
Cornelius Johnson was out there, wide receiver as well, and just so many Michigan players. And the crowd was insane at Lucas Oil.
Yeah.
And I was thinking back, I don't remember the NFL Combine being this made for TV as it is now. I mean, when you were at the Combine back in 2005, I can't imagine. I feel like it was a much different NFL Combine than this version is today. I mean, the LA Rams head coach and general manager didn't even attend. It feels like now this Combine is such a, as I said, made for TV event. And guys really that are participating now are guys that can help themselves. It feels like the top-end players don't want to do any of the workouts anymore, and it's not hurting them. You talk about them for a day or two, but then after that, it doesn't really hurt them much. And now you're having general managers and head coaches of teams that don't even show up. They feel like there's no value in that, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know if there's not any value in it to a certain extent, Ryan. But the first thing is everything becomes about fanfare. Everything becomes about money. Like nowadays, fans are paying to be a part of that process. Fans are paying. If you see how it's empty for the first half, but from about the 30 to the end zone, you see fans, you see people in the seats, you see people that have paid to be there and be a part of that day, whether it's the quarterbacks, whether it's the wide receivers, whether it's the linebackers, whatever your fancy is. they want to be a part of it, and you got to pay a price. But in terms of the fanfare with it and how it's kind of changed, I think there's always been kind of the ones or the twos wouldn't perform. But now everybody just wants to do their pro day. Everybody wants to be in the comfort of their own institution, their own field house, their own campus. They want to be there, and you don't have to go here. Back in the day, part of the draft process was the fight here at the Combine. It was, how can you perform with the other 2, 3, 4 guys that are top 5? How can you perform with the other top 5 guys that are in the draft? Now, what's the interview process? How are you gonna blink? Are you gonna blush? And I think that was a part of it all. Now, not so much. It's about what they've seen on the field, the gaudy numbers that they have, and then you and your individual space. Like me, I did the bench press test, and that was it, because I knew I didn't have to. But if there would have been some serious contention at the wide receiver position, like me and 3 other guys were very tight, Ryan and Ermanni, like back at that time, I would have went and got after it, because I wanted to prove that I was the best and I could perform under any light on any stage, but I didn't have to. Now no one has to.
Yeah, it feels like it's an opportunity to take your stock from here and go here, but if you're here already, there's only one way you can go.
Yep.
No doubt. Talk to us about difference between a pro day, like Michigan will have a pro day, and what we saw at the Combine. How different are those exercises? How different are those drills? Is it just a matter of comfort for a lot of these players? Like, why would Caleb Williams, for instance, throw at his pro day, but wouldn't at a Combine? Or I'm just using him for an example, but JJ McCarthy, why would he throw at a pro day and not at the Combine, even though I know he threw it at Combine?
Yeah,
but
very true. I mean, when you do pro day, you control pretty much everything. Obviously, it's still the GMs, the coaches, the teams that are going to be there at your pro day, but you still kind of running. Like, you still use your own footballs. Your own footballs. You have your own wide receivers, or you have your own people that you're throwing the ball to. You feel comfort. It's in your own home. It's on your terms. Like, for me, when I ran those routes at U of M, I've been running routes, Ryan and Ermanni, at U of M Fieldhouse since I was in high school. I've been running those same routes, those same patterns. I know that field inside and out. I was comfortable with it. I knew I was going to perform, and it's my turf. Like, it's nothing like home field advantage, and that's, I think, what a lot of it is, too, feeling comfortable. Caleb is going to throw outside. He's going to throw outside in that Cali air that he knows all too well. He's going to throw at USC Stadium, which he knows all too well, or their facilities, mind you, with the wide receivers, so you have a lot of fun and to be content. And also, it's about timing. Sometimes going to the draft, the Combine experience, pro day is one day, Ryan. The Combine experience itself could be 4 to 5 days, because you're there the first day. You got to get in. You got to get checked in. Then the next morning is drug test. So you got to wake up 5 a.m. Everybody's in the hallway.
Damn.
The 100%. You got to do drug tests. Then if you're an injured player, you got to do medical red. So you got to go over to the hospital and you got to wait there and you got to get X-rays, MRI. You got to do that whole process. Then it may not even be your day. So then the next day, you're still just kind of, now I got to do interviews. Now I have to interview with these teams. It's a long process. Pro day, you don't have to do all that. Pro day is a one-day thing. You wake up in the morning, you get your measurements, you start working out, you do your testing, you do your times. You start 9 a.m. pro day. Pro day is over with by 2 p.m.
A couple of names outside of JJ McCarthy that really helped themselves, coming from the University of Michigan anyway. I think Blake Corum really had a nice Combine. His name really was floated out there as one of the top running backs out there, top 3 for sure. What would that mean? I know a lot of people out there, us included, feel like he is the absolute prototypical running back for guess who in Los Angeles, Jim Harbaugh Chargers. For the Chargers. Now he's 37, pick number 37, a little bit too early to take Blake Corum. I don't know. It's one of those things where if you're drafting players, you look at what Detroit did last year. Detroit just wanted their player. They didn't care where they took that player. They saw a player, they identified a player that fit their system well, and they took him. They took Jahmyr Gibbs earlier than perhaps any other team would have taken Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe they took Sam Laporta a little bit earlier than any other team would have taken him. Maybe they took Jack Campbell earlier than any other player, any other team would have taken him if the Lions weren't there. But with Blake Corum, he just feels like, and I saw a comp for him, and I really like the comp outside of the injury. J.K. Dobbins. It's a really nice comp for him. Yeah.
Same conference. I mean, J.K. Dobbins was a damn good back at the university. At Ohio State University, Baltimore Ravens. He's been riddled with ACL injuries, but darn good running back. And I think the same could be true for Blake. I think Blake's a better catcher of the football out of the backfield. He's a better receiving running back than J.K. Dobbins. But look, he tested extremely well, and also too, man, he looked as healthy as I've seen him in a very long time, so this could be a great thing for him. Get him in there and get him going right away. Look, the shelf life is quick, and I think Blake Corum is a guy that 4 years at the University of Michigan, he started, he's played the third role, he's played the backup role, he's played the split role, so he understands how to play that backfield role. He understands what's necessary of him, and he's going to be a guy that's a team guy, a guy that can catch, a guy that can lead, a guy that can run between and outside the tackle. So he'll be a definitely really, really, really good dual running back. And I'm telling you, that third round pick with the Chargers, put your name on it for Blake Corum.
And Mikey Sanders as well. His name out there was spoken about quite a bit. In fact, when it comes to those University of Michigan players, and here's where I think the Harbaugh thing, transitioning to Sharon Moore, where Sharon Moore learned under Jim Harbaugh. However, I saw a quote from somebody that said they had talked to NFL scouts, and they said Michigan players are 2 years ahead of any other player at that combine. All the Michigan guys are 2 years ahead in the way they process the game mentally. That was one of the biggest compliments of Michigan football that I think you can possibly have as a program. Braylon, when you have a pro coach in college, those players are so much further ahead and so much more prepared for what the next level has to offer. That in and of itself is a huge loss for Michigan right now. But for these players, these 18 players that are going to get drafted into the NFL, at least 15 of them will get drafted into the NFL. That is high praise from NFL minds.
Definitely high praise from NFL minds. I think the big thing behind it too, Ryan, is you're talking about a guy that started off in college, San Diego, Stanford, then he goes to the NFL, San Francisco 49ers, then he comes back and he goes to Michigan. So now he understands from both sides, going to college, then NFL to college, and now back. He understood how to get guys ready for the NFL, and that's what he did at the University of Michigan for the better part of 8 years, especially this last 4 years. And so these guys are ahead, man. He's coached them the right way, and he's done it because he's taught them the value of team again. He made them realize the value of team again. I think so much of college football is now me, I, insert the NIL, insert the transfer portal. Whereas Michigan did it slightly different than the rest of the college football world. And you're seeing it. Players buy into each other. They buy into the team. They learn all the aspects of the offense. They learn all the aspects of the defense. They really value everything that went into U of M Michigan football. And now those 18 players will value everything that goes into whatever franchise that they're going to be a part of. Not to mention, they know the X's and O's. That's a big problem for a lot of guys. This could be a thing that happened with Jameson Williams. Now, I don't want to say I know this for a fact, but it could be a thing that happened with the maturity side of things, learning how to be a wide receiver. Like sometimes at Alabama, you're just going to say, hey, run deep. Go this. Here's a post route. Here's a slant route. This is what you do on this route. Michigan still teaches the X's and O's of what the defense requires, what the offense requires, what is required of the Z receiver versus the X receiver. And I think that's why Michigan players are having a lot more successes, because they're really breaking down the X's and O's. They really have actual great player development, and at least over the last 3 years, that's why they're so far ahead, because Jim Harbaugh has practiced and preached that because of what he's seen in his experience as an NFL coach.
You make a great point, because during the combine too, for one of the throws that the quarterbacks had to make was a comeback route, and they said this is a difficult throw for
second hardest route to throw.
Yes, second hardest route to throw, because you don't see it a lot in college.
Nope.
Most of these guys that are at the combine are so much better than anybody that they're playing. You don't need that comeback route in college football. And it's one of the things that you've always talked about with Jameson Williams. Those Alabama receivers, while very good in the NFL and really good route runners, they really have to learn 2 or 3 routes in an offensive scheme, because of the scheme that they run. They really only need to understand 2 or 3 routes, and everything else branches off that in the league. But nonetheless, maybe that is a reason why it takes guys like Jameson Williams so much longer in the NFL to get that route tree down.
Yeah, true. And route tree, man, you're talking about it's so funny how the route tree is. Once you learn how to run and once you learn how to master it, everything stems off of a go route. So I think once you understand that, which I think Michigan players, in terms of the different positions, they're learning that. And they're ahead of guys. I mean, you look at offenses, that's another thing. If you just put somebody on the board, like Ryan said, hey, here's what would you run against this defense? Most guys are like, what defense? Cover two? I don't know. They call that play. Your job is to know all that as well, man. The more you know. Look at a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown knows every position on the field on offense. He knows where the soft spots are. He knows the defensive concepts. That's why he's able to have so much success. And I think that is an attribute of USC. That is an attribute to what he learned and what he wanted to be. So I think when you get guys operating like that, you see how fast Amon-Ra St. Brown start having success in the NFL. That's the same thing that you'll see from University of Michigan guys.
Speaking of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Braylon Edwards, how about the proposed contract that is out there? Dan Graziano of ESPN saying that the Lions and Amon-Ra St. Brown have been working on an extension that may land in the range of $26 to $28 million per year. We have seen Mike Evans today sign a contract 2 years, $52 million. So that's about $26 million guaranteed. So that is right in the range of what Mike Evans got, $35 million of which is guaranteed on the Mike Evans. Then you see Justin Jefferson, upwards of $30 million. That contract potentially is. So the Vikings expected to assign Justin Jefferson to a deal that will pay him more than $30 million a year. So for Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're talking about Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, two alphas in this league, and you're putting Amon-Ra right there in the middle between 26 and 28 million. I think he has deserved every penny. Aside from quarterback on this team, Jared Goff, he is the most important player on that offense when it comes to a skill position. In my opinion, there's no doubt about it. And you talk about the niche he has carved out here in Detroit. Incredible for a fourth-round talent to be able to do what he's doing, Bray.
Yeah, just under 1,500 yards last year, 7 touchdowns again. I mean, he's very consistent. 3 years in a row. Like, he is a guy that is consistent. I think let's start there when we talk about why he deserves this $26 to $28 million. It's consistency. Game in and game out, no matter where you're looking at. You look at that stat book. When you look at number 14, he's going to be in the stat book. He's going to do what he's needing to do. He's going to move the chains with first down catches. He's going to extend drives. He's going to have the big plays. He's going to block down the field. He's going to get guys going. And he's always there. He's a constant, whether it's the first quarter or whether it's the fourth quarter. When you operate like that, Ryan and Monty, for 3 years in a row, you're telling a team, you're telling an offense, you're telling a franchise, and you're telling the city, I'm here. This is what I do. I am here. I am dialed in for you. I'm going to be here no matter how you look at it, no matter how you slice it. You deserve to get paid. You deserve to get taken care of. And second of all, you're operating at the highest level. You're not just operating good by Detroit Lions terms, by NFC terms, or by the NFC North Division terms. You're operating through the whole NFL. He had almost 1,500 yards receiving last year, 6 touchdowns. You know, you look at his stats over the first 3 years, they match up almost with anybody throughout the history, Ryan, of yards. When you start looking at that, when you start adding the history, much like Sam Laporta, much like Jahmyr Gibbs did this year, he's a guy that you can trust. He's a guy that's a leader. He's vocal, and he's there, and he's consistent. 26 to 28 makes sense. You look at Justin Jefferson, he deserves the 30-plus that he's going to get. You look at Mike Evans, 10 years in a row, 1,000-yard season, only been done one other time. And it wasn't even Jerry Rice, by the way. And then you're right there in the middle of that greatness. He deserves it.
Amon-Ra St. Brown, too. Excuse me, guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown has been as reliable and as dependable, as you said, Braylon Edwards, as anybody we've seen. And because he doesn't look like Justin Jefferson or Mike Evans, right, or Jamar Chase or somebody like that that's just going to burn straight down the field. Very Hines Ward-like. And I think Hines Ward's a Hall of Famer, isn't he? He's not. He's really close to being a Hall of Famer. But because Amon-Ra doesn't look like that Justin Jefferson, Jamar car chase, somebody that's going to burn you all the way down the field and have those big, 80-yard touchdown passes. Maybe people around the league view him a little bit differently, or just don't put him in that upper echelon of receiver, perhaps. And maybe they do. I don't know. I know we here in Detroit do.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the national landscape, I don't know if people put Amon-Ra as a top 5, top 6 receiver in the league. But his numbers show that he is. His dependability shows that he is. His catch rate shows that he is. And this year, more so than any other year, he's been able to get in the end zone. And that has been, something, too, that I think a lot of people look at with Amon-Ra. I mean, this dude can do everything for you. And Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes said last week, Bray, when they spoke, they want to build a team where they draft good players. Those good players develop into being great players, and those great players end up getting paid. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is like the definition of taking care of somebody that you drafted, developed, and you know everything about.
Yeah, this is how you start that process. You can't say that's what you want to do, and then you have an opportunity to do exactly what that means, and you fail on that opportunity. This is an opportunity to say, hey, look, 3 years, we drafted him, we brought him in, we grew him, he's now an all-pro. Let's pay him, let's show him how we do. It reminds me of when I was playing in Cleveland. It reminds me of what the Steelers did. The Steelers drafted their players. Steelers didn't pick guys up in free agency. Steelers weren't like picking up guys, a hodgepodge of guys from here to there to mix in what they do. They drafted these guys. They drafted Larry Foote. They drafted James Farrior. They drafted Troy Polamalu. They drafted James Harrison, Casey Hayward now, T.J. Watt now. Like they drafted those guys. They home-grew them, and then they paid them eventually down like Antonio Brown. Santonio Holmes, Plaxico Burress, like Ben Roethlisberger. That's what they were doing. It was legitimately year in and year out drafting good players, and then they were homegrown. They were all a part of the same machine. They weren't bringing guys in. I think that's what the Lions are doing now, and they're having some success, and it's fun to watch. But just make sure you stay with the program. Like, don't change. Because right now things are cooking with grease, and Amon-Ra St. Brown will be the first domino to fall, but he's the one most deserving at this particular moment.
And the Lions in the mix again when it comes to another free agent out there, and that is L'Jarius Sneed, guys. And it was talked about at the Combine over the week that the Lions and the Dolphins were two teams possibly in the mix for the services of Chiefs defensive back L'Jarius Sneed. And this is a player that I think obviously would look great in Honolulu blue and silver. He would make such an impact in an area of need, an area of desperate need for this football team. I would just say, Bray, I'm not sure this is something the Lions would do. We just have not seen this type of signing. While it was great to see the Lions team mentioned as a possibility for L'Jarius Sneed, I'm just not sure this is their MO to go out there and spend big money on somebody else's free agent. Until I see it, maybe I'm not going to believe it. I'm kind of going down that road.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. For years, I told you, I said, until I see the Lions do something, I'm not going to believe in the Lions. And finally, I started believing because I started to see them do things. This is a move, Ryan. Look, at the end of the day, you got to the NFC Championship. You were 7 minutes away, blah, blah, blah. We know the old adage. But you still need certain players, and you can't get everything through the draft. Like, everything can't happen through the draft this year to add on what you did in the draft last year. Sometimes to get right away, like, that secondary was bad, Ryan Ermanni. And then the other half of the defensive line was bad last year, Ryan Ermanni. You can't get all that right now in the draft. If you want to get to where you got last year and get further than you got last year, which is the Super Bowl, you got to spend some money. You got to add that key piece. And if it's not a defensive end, then it's got to be a cornerback. And if it's got to be a cornerback, you might as well go for a guy that you saw week in and week out for the Kansas City Chiefs last year be dominant. He was dominant all last year. He's the reason why they got to the Super Bowl. It wasn't the offense of the Chiefs that got them to the Super Bowl. And now get me, Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. It was defense. And it was catalyzed by that secondary, which had 2 Pro Bowlers and 1 All-Pro. L'Jarius Sneed was both. So you mix him in with this defense that we got cooking this year, I'm telling you, this is a move. To your point, they haven't made a move like this. but you didn't have to make a move like this until it was time. Ryan Ermanni, I think it's time.
And, you know, whether it's for Kansas City, right? You're looking at Kansas City, you're like, why would this kid want to go anywhere else other than stick with Andy Reid as your head coach and Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback?
He's got 2 rings.
Well, that's just it. You know, I mean, I think people get their rings, and then it's really about getting paid. Now, if Kansas City cannot pay you what Detroit can pay you or any other team can pay you, you have to get your money when you can get your money. And I'm not sure Kansas City, I'm not a salary cap expert. I don't know if Kansas City can pay both L'Jarius Sneed and Chris Jones. If they can't, that makes one of those players expendable. That makes one of those players available for the open market. And if you're Kansas City to begin with, you know, which player do you think you would put a premium on? I mean, what's L'Jarius Sneed? What's he sitting at? 27 years old, and 29. I think L'Jarius Sneed 29. I think Chris Jones is 29.
27. Excuse me.
27. So I don't know. Do you just go with the younger guy? I think Chris Jones has 4 more good years in him, great years in him.
Yeah, I think Chris Jones is more directly reflective to how good that defense plays and how they were stopping people in the postseason, getting into the Super Bowl run. L'Jarius Sneed, great DB. Chris Jones is a wrecking ball. Chris Jones is a guy that clogs up that middle and destroys and gets to the quarterback often and a lot. So he's a guy that is directly reflecting that defense playing well in the postseason. So I will go with him over L'Jarius Sneed. It has nothing to do with the age. It has to do with who I think is the wrecking ball, and it's Chris Jones. So I think they'll probably go that way. L'Jarius Sneed, like you said, 2 rings in 2 years, and he's an all-pro guy. Look, it's time to get paid.
You know, you mentioned Chris Jones too, and I think we hear for people that reside in the NFC North, you saw what happened with Chicago's defense. Once Chicago got Montez Sweat, how much that makes everybody better along the defensive line, the second level with the linebackers, and certainly when you're getting to the quarterback, how much better it makes everybody on the back end, because you don't have to guard your receiver. You don't have to defend your receiver for as long if the quarterback doesn't have as much time back there in the pocket or running around. So I would put a premium on that defensive lineman as well, and Chris Jones if I'm Kansas City. And even if you're, you know, Detroit, if there's somebody out there that you think you can get to the quarterback, I mean, that's an area that would need some investment as well, I would think.
That would be the area for sure. And to be honest, I would go with that area first if I'm Detroit, because it just automatically helps. Ryan, when you get the defensive end, let's say a defensive interior guy, Chris Jones, let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say you get a Hassan Reddick. Let's say you get a Khalil Mack. Let's say you get a Brian Burns. When you get 2 guys on the opposite, because you already have Aiden, now you're getting to the quarterback. Now you're getting more attention and more focus. So now you got a left tackle and a right guard, and a left guard and a right tackle. Now you got those guys focused on 2 guys. You have 2 guys taking up 4 attention spans already. Now that means the linebackers, they got one-on-one. The linebackers can get to the quarterback. Linebackers can get to the running back right away. They can see things more. You don't get linemen coming to the second level, because that's when you don't have defensive linemen, when you don't have necessarily another guy for Aiden Hutchinson on the opposite side. It makes it easier for linemen to get to the second level. Now linemen can get to your linebackers. Now it makes it that much easier for teams to run on you. Now it makes it that much easier for quarterbacks to sit there and break you, to tear you apart, like we saw in the last 4 or 5 games of the season. But when you got guys getting after the quarterback, when you got guys that are, you know, influencing 4 or 5 eyes on that defensive side of the ball, on that offensive side of the ball, makes it a lot harder. Now you're getting coverage sacks. I mean, now you're getting coverage interceptions. It's just, or now you're getting sacks because of the coverage interceptions. So it's gonna be Brian Burns, Hassan Reddick, Khalil Mack, one of those guys. They got to get a premium guy outside. I think that's what will help them the most, the fastest, or Chris Jones in the middle.
And a week from Wednesday, we're going to find out what the Lions and every other team has prioritized in free agency. Free agency starts on Wednesday, March 13th. So 1 week from Wednesday, there's going to be a flurry of NFL action, player movements, and everything else. It's going to be fantastic. And then after that, obviously, all eyes on the NFL draft here in Detroit. And over the weekend at the NFL Combine, the Lions got the Best Draft Award. And I'm not sure you will have a team out there be fortunate to have the impact that last year's group for the Detroit Lions did for one team. If there was one draft class that had as great an impact on a single team as last year's Detroit Lions, find it for me.
Yeah.
What Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch did most notably. And then, Jack Campbell did play a number of snaps for this team and was getting better towards the end of the season. But we'll stick for the argument's sake, Gibbs, Branch, and Laporta. What those guys did, I don't think the Lions are NFC North champions without those players. I don't think they win 2 playoff games without those players. And I'm not sure you will see a more impactful class than last year's class was to any one team in the NFL.
Look, they captured lightning in a bottle last year. Good luck trying to do it twice. We know Brad Holmes is darn good at his job, but what they did last year was phenomenal. I mean, you're talking about 2 guys that were up for the rookie player of the year, Ryan. 2 guys. You're talking about between Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs alone, you're talking over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. You're talking over 20 touchdowns. Ryan, I'll say it again. You're talking over 2,000 yards from scrimmage, and you're talking over 20 touchdowns between those 2 guys. And not to mention what Brian Branch did. Look at his interception in the first game of the year against the Kansas City Chiefs. Look at the plays once he got healthy down the line towards the end of the year. Those guys tremendously and directly affected them winning the North. You can't win without that. 2,000 yards from scrimmage and 20 touchdowns, you're not winning the North. You're not winning as many games as you did. Forget winning the North. You may not be a playoff team without having these guys in line up there where they were. And Jack Campbell definitely played enough efficient snaps. Saw him at times. He's going to be a much better player this year because of what the Lions are really good at. It's player development as well. So we can't wait to see what Jack Campbell does this year. Brad Holmes, man, they nailed it last year. And then the coaches were able to get the best out of those guys this year. They nailed it all the way around, from the draft to the front office to the coaching staff, being able to get those guys right.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to the draft in Detroit, and there's a bunch of pop-up stores now coming up in downtown. It's a
fun time, man.
They're filling every storefront, and people are really going to get a first-class look to see what the city of Detroit is all about. And I'll tell you, if we could get this weather out there in April, in April you never know what you're going to get. In May you don't know what you're going to get. But certainly if we get weather like this out there today, my goodness, 70 degrees plus today. How about it?
Man, this is amazing.
You were out there hitting golf balls today.
I sent the video into the chat. I actually played with my dad today. Shout out to Pops. We played Rackham, which is right down the street. So that's why I was a little late, but I was right down the street. It was, hey man, I actually played good today, Ryan.
Hey man, if you're here at 1:59, you ain't late.
That's my guy. That's why you're my guy. I played good today, man. I'm excited. I mean, it must be some of that carryover from Friday, man. There's some of that good luck, man.
No doubt.
That good hero luck.
Hey, Kool-Aid, too.
Yes,
what about
sir.
this guy, huh? Playing golf out there today. And I know we've got so many people in the chat still. Braylon, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at the chat, but it is a litany of messages from people thanking you for, again, saving somebody's life, saving an 80-year-old man's life. And we did talk about it at the start of the show, but for people who are just tuning in right now as well, Braylon on Friday stepped in, and I'll let you tell the story again for the people that have just kind of joined us right now, and all the people that are thanking you for being there in the chat. When we did this on Friday, we were so in the throes of just trying to unwind and see what was going on here, but just remarkable on Friday.
First and foremost, thank you to everybody in the chat that's commented or said something. My apologies. Ryan's the one that reads the chat during the show because I will get hung up on reading all the comments, so that's what he does. But I appreciate you guys. I mean, you guys tune in. You show a lot of love, and no one had to say anything, but thank you for saying it. Basically, simply put, making a faster version is came into the locker room. There was some commotion going on. There was a scuffle between a 25-year-old guy and an 80-year-old man. I didn't know he was that old at the time. I figured he was 60 or so. And, it got bad. It escalated, and eventually I had to step in. I stepped in once I saw him about to slam his head against the counter. Stepped in, was able to subdue him, get him out the way, calm him down, and he ended up taking off. And, the rest is history for the guy in a good way. So I don't know, man. It's like, it's funny. I was telling my mom this, and my mom was like, only you. Like, all my life I dreamed of saving somebody. Like
Really?
I watched like
Yeah.
I grew up watching, like comic books. Like I read comic books, comic book hero, some nerd stuff, man. I love nerds rule the world, by the way. But just always like thought that was gonna happen. Whether I put somebody out the way of a car or something crazy like that. I never thought it was gonna happen. I never thought you'd have a moment. But in the moment it doesn't feel like that. Like, it didn't feel like I was saving somebody's life. It just felt like, oh, okay, I'm stepping in, like, yo, this is wrong. Like, at the end of the day, Ryan, that's what it stems from. Like, you know right from wrong. Stepped in because I know right from wrong. I helped, and all right, hope he's okay. And then it's the level of it. It comes later on after the phone call with the detective, and then you see the well wishes, and then you see the story run on WDIV, and then you see Sports Illustrated, and then you see ESPN, and then you see Fox.
The Jets.
The Jets ran with it. University of Michigan, where y'all at? But you see 100%. But no, you just see all these things, and then you start to see like what it really is. Then you start to see what really could have happened. Then you start to see, wait, no, this is real. This was a real deal that could have turned out for the worse. So I believe in God. I'm glad God had me in that moment, in that situation, in that locker room, in that room. Like you said, like I wanted God's warriors, and I was there.
When you are faced with a situation like that, too, we all have an idea of how we would want to react.
Yeah.
But when you're actually in the situation, to be able to react as you did and really put yourself in danger as well, because you don't know what the guy's got on him. You don't know if he's got a weapon on him. You don't know what's going on there. You don't know what's going on in this guy's head.
That's what my uncle said. My uncle said, how you know he didn't have a knife?
Right.
Or I didn't, but I wasn't thinking like that.
Right, but you just react.
Yeah.
You just do what you think you need to do at the time, and God bless you for being there, Braylon.
I think there's a lot there's a lot more good people out there than bad. I know there's so much bad stuff that happens in our world, so we just think the world's full of bad people. Trust me, there's some bad people in this world. That guy was one of them. But I think there's a lot more good people. I think there's a lot more people that are equipped like this, or that would step up like this, like I did. I'm glad I was there, but I think there's a lot of people out there like me, man, that we're good people. We know that as a core, our society is good people. So I'm happy I was there, but I ain't the only one. I know it's a lot of other people out here doing some good work, man, and shout out and salute to them. They're doing it as well.
Amen to that. Hey, before we close out hour number one here, I wanted to get a thought from you, Braylon, on Chris Mortensen, who passed away over the weekend, and one of the great NFL reporters of all time. Jimmy Pitero of ESPN said that Mort was widely respected as an industry pioneer and universally beloved. As a supportive, hardworking teammate, he covered the NFL with extraordinary skill and passion and was at the top of his field for decades. He will truly be missed by colleagues and fans alike, and our hearts and thoughts are with his loved ones. When I look at all the tributes on Twitter and on television, on radio, and everywhere else, when it comes to Chris Mortensen, people universally talked about how much this guy was loved, how much this guy just was an incredible person, the way he treated people at the top and at the bottom of the food chain. And he was just obviously so great at his job, but it's almost cliche to say, but he was an even better person. But it sounds like he actually was an even better person. Did you ever have any interactions with Chris Mortensen as a player?
I actually did. When I did the car wash, as they call it. And the car wash, when you go to Bristol and then you're ESPN for those out there. But go to Bristol and then you do all the different shows over the course of 2 days or a week. And I ran into him on day 2, and we were filming. And he was like, "What's up? How you doing?" Because he's one of the guys. Remember I talked about like Gary Danielson and Brent Musburger. And it's like certain guys, when you get to a level, you can't wait till they do your games or they do some highlights about you or they talk about you. It's like Chris Berman, was a guy I couldn't wait to hear Boomer say my name. Whoop! I couldn't wait for that, Or Stuart Scott, rest in peace. Chris Mortensen was one of those guys as well. And finally, when I got to see him do a piece, maybe like a year later, I was doing the car wash, and he was like, "Oh, okay, how you doing, Braylon?" Yeah, I was still with the Browns at the time. He said, "You thinking about making it's a thing. I said, I would like to. I think I'm pretty good at it. He said, look, all you got to do is work hard, man. He said, if you ever get to ESPN, look me up. And, like, he was dead serious because I've heard other people that have worked with him talk about the support they have, like giving them notes, like watching their shows and sending them a text. Like, they didn't even know that he would be up watching their show or that he would care enough to send them little tidbits, man. Like, he's a guy that truly believed in being just, like you said, just organically great, organically authentic, and a good person, man. Rest in peace. Heaven just got a great guy in Christian Mortensen, man.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So, yeah, man, when you think about the people that ESPN has lost too, I mean, John Clayton, Stuart Scott, now Chris Mortensen, and I'm sure I'm forgetting about somebody too, but my goodness.
Yeah, I almost lost Robin Roberts.
Yeah, absolutely, to cancer a while ago. So
that's why it's like one of those things where, like, if you get that Jimmy Valvano award, you better turn it down.
Jim Valvano, another game. Yeah. What's that, Pete?
I said, you know who I miss? I miss Tom Mees.
Yeah, Tom Mees is
one
of the Godfathers.
TNT. Craig Sager.
Craig Sager
I guess it's not ESPN.
Well, yeah. Not ESPN, but one of the legends of sports journalism, Craig Sager. You know?
I didn't realize that was Craig Sager. Like, not that he's on the field when Hank Aaron hits the home run in the white in the white suit. Yeah, the white. Yeah, that was crazy.
How about that?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wrap up hour number 1. Hour number 2, we're going to open up with something that happened in the NFL over the weekend. We'll get some NFL news. And is this the solution you are looking for when it comes to Super Bowl Sunday? We'll have that for you. But first, a message from us here at WSN. Woodward Sports Network. I want you to click on the Shop tab. Woodward Sports has affordable, comfortable, new Detroit sports wearables, hats, hoodies, tees, everything in between. Men, women, babies, children of all ages. We've got something for everyone that is affordable and comfortable. Head on over to woodwardsports.com. Click on Shop. Now, over to Kool-Aid.
Yeah, look, Planet Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you will experience a squeaky clean gym that has tons of equipment, a full body workout in just 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You get all of this for just $10 a month, no commitment. No matter where you are, there is a Planet Fitness close by. There are more than 50 in Metro Detroit and thousands more throughout the world. Find your local Planet Fitness today. To join or visit them online at planetfitness.com.
And then when you're done with your workout, you can give your pet the best. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of online and big box realtors, with one major difference: family owned and locally operated for over 30 years. Over 60 brands of food with nutrition experts there to help you. Same day, local, curbside, and home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best at www.premierpetsupply.com.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man-meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Hey gang, let me tell you about Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. You can walk into any Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register to win a trip of your dreams, an all-expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tournament. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. You can walk in anytime, open 7 days a week. It's wicked awesome.
That sounds like good news to me, but I have good news and bad news. The bad news is insurance rates are going up across the board in Michigan. The good news is Swiss Insurance is here to help. Right now, more than ever, it's critical for you to have your insurance reviewed, and Swiss will make sure your carrier does not slip in extra fees or raise deductibles. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today or visit SwissINS.com and tell them that Woodward Sports sent you. One more time, back to Rye Guy.
Absolutely. Need a car? We've got you covered. Les Stanford Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, GMC. Les Stanford has added the Buick GMC brands to their catalog, if you will. Les Stanford in Ferndale on Woodward Avenue, just south of 9 Mile. That's where the Buick and the GMC dealership is. If you're looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, Les Stanford in Dearborn, where they have been for over 55 years. You can find the brand you want. All GM brands now under one umbrella. Chevy, Cadillac, Buick, GMC, LesStanford.com, LesStanford.com.
Let's drive.
Let's drive, baby.
Hey, Ryan, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Maz won't be with us. Welcome to the second hour of the show. Now's the fun part, though, Ryan. So I was making jokes all weekend as I was sick. I was telling my girl, I was like, so you know they about to give me the key to Farmington Hills. They about to give me the key to the city. So when they do the parade, you know, would you like to sit in the front? Would you like to sit on the side? You know, be the Grand Marshal, whatever parade. Nah, she was joking. What if they did give me the key to the city? You coming to the coronation?
Oh my gosh! Well, you just grabbed a bag of chips and a parfait and a Sprite over there.
Oh yeah, you saw that.
I hope you didn't. You shouldn't have to pay for another meal in the state of Michigan.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, for as long as
at least Farmington Hills, I'd say that. At least Farmington Hills. No, let me stop for people to say, see, I knew he wasn't here.
Now, does YMCA give you a free membership after this or something? Or
so here's the funny thing, and everybody's asking, and shout out to Planet Fitness, because I know Planet Fitness, the first thing they're gonna say, why are you not working out Planet Fitness? Look, I get tired of working out at gyms, and this is why. Well, like Planet Fitness or insert other gym here, because people want to talk about Michigan. They want to ask me what Michigan's going to do this year, what's going to be the record. It's a bunch of kids that don't rack their weights, don't put the weights back. It's a messy place. I get tired of it. I can't even get a workout in, like legitimately when I was working on Planet Fitness. And I love the conversation. But I'm also trying to get the work in. I'm trying to get that pump in. I'm trying to feel
You're
good.
just trying to get that pump in.
Yeah.
Now, I work out at Planet Fitness, and nobody bothers me. So
it's a good problem to have. But
right down the street here in
I'm
Troy.
I'm serious when I work out. Now I like to go in there, get a sweat, and get my pump in.
Why don't you come with me, give it another chance?
I will.
All right.
I will. But the reason why I work out the Y is because as an ex-NFL player, work out for free. And the Y, there's two different gyms inside each Y. There's like the cardio side where it's the elliptical, the Stairmaster, and the bikes, and a couple weighted machines. Then there's the free weight machine. Free weight machine is empty all day. It's empty all day. So I get in, get about an hour and 15 in. I get in, I get out. So that's why I was at the Y, and it's easy.
How many reps? Just on the heels of the combine, can you still get that 225?
100%.
How many can you rip off?
I'm still floating around 18 to 20.
Really?
Because I've gotten back in like that shape. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny because I got excited thinking about the combine. I was actually gonna give it a go, but I was sick this weekend.
Oh my god!
About 18 to 20.
Oh my gosh, incredible.
All right, I see Blake Corum with 27.
Oh, he's out cold out there.
His arms is short.
He's like a little bowling ball.
It's gonna be fun. He went 4.53. I don't think he went. It'd be good. I just hope he gets with the right team, And I hope they have a dual situation, man. I hope you allow him to stay fresh, man. Because if he does, he can have a great run at this, man. He's a great player. He's a smart player. And like I said, he understands how to play, whether he's the starter or the secondary back. He understands this for the team, man. He's going to be a great addition to the Chargers because that's where he's going.
That's exactly where he's going.
Yeah.
Unless they want to go sign a guy like Saquon Barkley or something like that.
Still draft him.
Right. Braylon, did you see this over the weekend? One of the stories that came out at the Combine is this idea that the NFL is going to add an 18th game. Now, we all know the NFL is going to add an 18th game, but NBC reporting that it seems like the NFL is going to make a push to the NFL Players Association to agree to expand the season to 18 regular season games. Now, one of the things about this, and Tom Mazaway has been banging on this drum for a long time. He's in Florida today and tomorrow, so he'll be back on Wednesday. But Maz has said this, and I think this is spot on. When you add an 18th game, you will never get the Super Bowl on a Saturday. We know that. Yeah. You will never get the Monday of Super Bowl to be a national holiday. But what you will do with adding an 18th game, you will get a Super Bowl on the Sunday before President's Day. And many schools have President's Day that entire week off. Jeez. For school for a midwinter break or something, or a winter break or a midwinter break, whatever schools call it around the country. I know if you work at a big corporation, I know we at Fox have President's Day as is one of the holiday. If you want to take it as a holiday, many corporations have President's Day as a holiday. If you work in a small business, probably not. It's not going to be much of a benefit to you, but nonetheless, this might be the best option to have the NFL be played on the Sunday before President's Day. So at least there will be some breathing room there for a lot of people not to show up to work on Monday, and or for at least the kids to have no school on that Monday.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of bosses calling that convenient excuse day.
Yeah.
Convenient excuse day. Before we get into that, can we go backwards? 18 games?
Yep.
18 games.
You'd probably have 2 bye weeks is what I would think.
So now you have 18 games. Okay, I'm just do some numbers, right? It's 18. You have 3 preseason games.
Probably 2.
Okay, so you probably won't play one, which means now there's
I don't even think anybody played. The Lions really didn't play anybody this time around at all. They did those joint practices where they got all their work in.
So let's say 3 until they show us otherwise. 21. Nobody's playing, but even worse, nobody's playing. A lot more people are getting injured. You need those games in the beginning. So now you're getting injured. It's 18 games. It's 3. It's 21. Now it takes you 4 rounds to get to the Super Bowl. 1, 2, 3, 4, including the Super Bowl is 4, correct?
Well, I mean, if you're playing, I don't know if you'd add playoff teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Playoffs. I'm saying so that's 18 plus how many playoffs?
Well. Yeah, 4.
Wild card round, semifinal, conference championship, and then Super Bowl. So now it's 4. So it's 22. Like now you see why our players are getting worn down. Like now you see our can't make it to the finish line. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs; they've done this now 2 years in a row. Now you want to add an 18th game. I'm just like, at what point do the players just they break down? Like, at what point does it stop?
You raise a great point, and I think the more money you make, that's why you see a lot of people retiring at 29, 30 years old. Done. My body can't take it anymore, and you will see much more of that. I think when you add an 18th game, just the wear and tear on these players' bodies. Antonio Brown has said a lot of crazy things, but he's right about a lot of things too. You can't claim to be for player safety when you're just continuing to add game after game for these guys, and when you're not playing on natural grass. You don't get to say, just call it what it is. Just call it what it is. Nobody's mad about it. Just call it what it is. But don't hide behind the shield of player safety when you're talking about saving a couple of bucks on this synthetic grass that shows more of an injury to the lower extremities than anything else.
Look, and I'm not complaining. I know a lot of people, I'm not complaining because I understand that players make a ton of money. They make good money for what they do, and I understand that. That always is the first thing that comes up. But I'm just also looking at it from the standpoint, man, how many times can you fall a certain way, plan a certain way, and do a certain way, and now they're giving you extra games on bad fields and bad surfaces to get these injuries, man. Like, you want people to sustainability in terms of being able to operate at a high level. You want to see all the high-flying action and the offense and the things of that nature. Well, these franchises got to get with it and put the money in this grass, man. They got to put money in this grass, whether it's building in roll-out carpet, roll-back carpet. You got to put the money in because you're making more and more money. Players are making more and more money, but you're adding more and more games, which means more and more time and more opportunities to actually mess yourself up for good. So they need to do right by these surfaces if they're going to keep adding these games.
And then another thing that came out was this, the NFL kickoffs. Kickoffs would be from the 40-yard line, and the NFL working on a kickoff proposal that would involve teams kicking off from the opponent's 40-yard line to increase returns. No players except the kicker and returner can move until the ball is touched. If the ball doesn't cross the 20-yard line in the air, it's treated as out of bounds and the receiving team gets the possession at their own 40-yard line. If the kicker kicks the ball into the end zone on the fly, a touchback results in the ball being placed at the 35-yard line as opposed to the previous rule of the 25-yard line. Not only will this increase returns, but it will also help with injuries.
Yeah, I'm still kind of confused on it. Just give me the synopsis again.
They want the returns back in the NFL.
Finally, this is what we're talking about when they first talked about Devin Hester being up for the award this year. You know, one of my big things is I said I missed the return. I missed the return. It was such a staple for the NFL. It's such a staple as a part of the game. And a good kick return goes a long way, man. And I think, you know, some of the best players have been kick returners, and you don't get a chance to see that anymore. Whether it's Eric Metcalf back in the day, Devin Hester, Josh Cribbs, who I had the pleasure of being on the same team as. I mean, he was electric in the stuff that he can do. You need this. Like, you can't just get rid of a major part of a sport and it continue to be a sport, right? And this is a major part of it, so I'm glad. It makes sense. Devin Hester getting into the Hall of Fame this year, now they add a chance for returners to be able to return the ball again, because just the ball coming out in the 25 every year, that was boring.
Now, I don't really know how I feel about the kickoff situation, to be honest with you, until I see it, but one of the things I do like is this proposal on the onside kick. Did you see this?
I did not.
You can only do onside kicks in the fourth quarter when you trail. But you can put everybody to one side if you want. Because this season's success rate on onside kicks, 5.2% of onside kicks were recovered. And there were just
two of those happened in one game.
2 surprise onside kicks due to run-ups being banned. So you couldn't run up this year, but they want to get this stuff that doesn't feel so
like new,
erroneous. If you do something in the NFL that has no success anymore, it's pointless.
Yeah, true.
Why even do it? You might as well take the XFL version or the UFL version of going forward on 4th and 15 to do the onside kick. The UFL doesn't do an onside kick.
Yeah.
Their onside kick is, here's the ball, 4th and 15 at your own 20. Try to get a first down.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that.
You 100%. It's like, hey, look, you want it, you need it. Here's an opportunity to make it happen.
I would almost do that on every time. I don't know if I'd ever kick off at that point. If I have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, I'm doing that every time.
Oh yeah, especially one of those type of Lamar Jackson, right? Patrick Mahomes, or Josh Allen.
I'm doing that every time.
Yeah, definitely get at a couple. But then you have, but you have to be
Thanks,
down.
Pete.
You have to be down though, correct?
What's that?
You have to be down to go for it though.
You got to be down to go for it,
okay.
Right?
You have to be down to go for it.
You got to be down to go for it.
I'm just glad they're adding some rules to make it fun again.
Yeah.
I feel like don't get me wrong, the NFL is fun. It's offense and blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it's gotten away from some of those things that we used to see happen back in an organic NFL game. I think now it's too structured against certain things.
You got it.
Right.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Johnny Manziel says no more. Your thoughts on this coming up. But first, a message from Guardian Alarm. They're your local security experts that have been for over 90 years. When you see this black and yellow sign out in front of your house, it tells the bad guys one thing.
Stay out.
Whether you are at home or on the road, they're 24/7 professional monitoring, customized solutions from real experts, and technology backed by people means you are backed by the best. Call this number right here, 1-800.
Stay out.
That number again, 1-800.
Stay out.
Call them today. Tell them Woodward Sports sent you.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party. It's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles. And with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
All right, everybody, click on that QR code above my head because it's RIP to the same old Lions. Big thanks to Sheila, Brad, and Dan for putting them to rest. And guess what else has found the grave? The same old rock, paper, scissors. Jack Labrador has revolutionized that tired game with 2 new symbols and a franchise-changing three-point play. Discover the action at jacklabrador.gg now and find out why. Once you go Jack, you never go back again. Click on that QR code above my head. Back to Ryan Ermanni and the hero, Braylon Edwards.
Absolutely.
I give you one more day to call me hero, man. After that, man, it's back to just Braylon, man. I'm still shot.
Number 2 trending story on ESPN.com. How about that?
Finally, you know what's funny? Finally, some good press because they're quick to print the bad stuff. So I think that was a big thing for my mom, and just. She's proud. My dad is proud, although he can't tell me. He's proud. You know how fathers are.
He's giving me that look.
But it's funny.
When you know he's proud.
So it's like everybody reached out to me, like from my family or whatever, except my dad. He's talking about everything else but the story. So then we go golfing today, and he had like this big smile on his face, and I'm just waiting for him to say something. He was like, "So fathers are funny." He waited for my first shot, and I hit like a bomb off the tee box.
Of course you did.
Man, hey, look, it's good times for me right now. But I had a bomb maybe just off the left center fairway, about 310. He was like, "Hey, man, that's a hell of a shot." My dad never tells me. Like, my dad's never like that with a good tee shot. He said, "Oh, yeah, you got a hold of that." Like, that's something my dad, he said, "Man, that's a hell of a shot." That was his way of basically saying, like, good job with the situation. Like, why are fathers like that?
Old school guys, they just set.
But I wouldn't want it any. But you know what's funny? I don't think I would want it any other way.
Right.
Like, cause then it get weird. Like, hey, get off me! What are you doing? So I appreciate it.
That's fantastic. Did you see this over the weekend? Johnny Manziel, what he says? How about this? You
I
ready?
love Johnny Manziel. What does he have to say now?
After careful thought and consideration, I will be humbly removing myself from the Heisman Trophy ceremony until Reggie Bush gets his trophy back. Doesn't sit right with my morals and values that he can't be on the stage with us every year. Reggie is the Heisman Trophy. Do the right thing, NCAA. The ball is in your court. Much love, Johnny Manziel. He went on to say that the last 2 Heisman winners have walked away with $12 million while they were in college. And he said the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners made a combined $12 million last year, but Reggie can't get his trophy back. This man is standing up for Reggie Bush. I think he will get his Heisman back, but I'm curious to see what other players do this as well. Most notably from Michigan, Charles Woodson, Desmond Howard. What do these guys think? What does anybody think that's, Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels,
That's who he's talking about. He's talking about Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. My only issue with Johnny Manziel is, one, Johnny Manziel did the same thing that Reggie was accused of doing, but because of his friend selling it out a certain way, like he didn't get in trouble, he didn't have to sell his Heisman, or he didn't have to give his Heisman back. It behooves me, like Johnny's like, I don't want to. I'm not going to take the stand. Like, this seems like it's a publicity stunt in the favor of Johnny Manziel. Now, I know I could be tearing this story down and taking it somewhere where it doesn't have to go. But so be it. Like, him to come out and say he doesn't. I don't want to stand on the stage until Reggie stands on stage. Now it takes away from Reggie, and it makes Johnny Manziel the catalyst for Reggie Bush. Now, getting that out the way, I would have never gave the Heisman back, period, if I was Reggie Bush. And I'm glad that someone, I guess, said something. He's been in a lot. I actually know this. I think I told you about it when I had dinner with those guys 2 years ago. Said he was actually fighting this, and it's something that was going to come on at a later date. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but he was fighting it. He says it never was fair, and I think he's finally got people on the case. It just sucks.
Could both things be true, though?
I agree.
If Johnny Manziel is, getting his name back out there and doing this for whatever reason, but at the same time, it brings attention and generates a conversation again. Because honestly, I didn't even consider Reggie Bush not having his Heisman Trophy any longer until Johnny Manziel brought this up. So yeah, on one end, you're thinking about Johnny Manziel doing this, so he's getting the publicity, but at the other end, it's starting a conversation again with the NCAA that they took Reggie Bush's Heisman Trophy away. Probably in my lifetime, the most electric player ever to play in college football was Reggie Bush.
100%.
And I mean that in all sincerity, and I'm not trying to just
like Ryan, I saw it up close in person. It's not close.
Right.
Like, it's not close. Like, what Reggie Bush did, his whole time at USC, but especially that junior year. Like, if you just go back and watch the Fresno State game alone, like, just watch the Fresno State game alone. 500 yards of total offense, including punt returns, kick return. Like, it was crazy, the things that he can do, the way in which he had everybody rocking the 619 under their eye patch. I ain't talking about Rey Mysterio. Talking about that Reggie Bush. That's what high school he went to. But he was electric. If you didn't take anything that altered your ability, especially considering that what happened may not have even been true in the first place, nothing he did altered his game. He didn't take any PEDs, he didn't take any steroids. Well, I guess once you say PEDs, you cover all the field. He didn't take any PEDs. That was all him. Like, that was all him on that field. He deserves a Heisman Trophy. Like I said, I would have never given it back. They would have had to come out and take it out, and it wasn't happening.
Well, do you think anybody else follows? Because I was thinking about, and for the younger kids who are listening to this, you may never have seen the movie Rudy, but there's a scene in Rudy, and I'm hoping I'm not ruining the movie for you if you haven't seen it, but the movie is about 30 years old, so I'm not sure if you haven't seen it by now, you may not see it. But there's a scene in Rudy where Dan Devine it was actually Ara Parseghian who promises Rudy he could dress next season. Ara Parseghian moves on, Dan Devine takes over, and everybody's thinking that Dan Devine is going to honor that pledge by Ara Parseghian. Well, the last home game comes around, and Rudy is not on the dress list. So one of the captains walks in to Dan Devine's office and says, I want Rudy to dress for me and puts his jersey down. And then one by one, all the teammates come in, every player at Notre Dame, and they drop their jersey on the desk of Dan Devine because they're taking a stand. They want Rudy Rudiger to dress in the final home game of his football career at Notre Dame. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Johnny Manziel, to make a long story longer, is Johnny Manziel kind of leading the charge? I'm waiting for somebody to drop their jersey off at the doorstep of the NCAA after Johnny Manziel, and I feel like it hasn't gone down that road yet. And I'm not sure anybody else will take him up on it, but I do feel like somebody should. I feel like if you collectively come together as Heisman Trophy winners, if you get everybody in that Nissan Heisman house and you get all of those players to coalesce behind Reggie Bush, I think maybe that would make an impact, unless you think that Reggie Bush did something wrong. Do these players that won the Heisman think that Reggie did something wrong? And only they can answer that. And if they don't, I don't want to put that on them. If hey, I'm not willing to give my Heisman back, but I don't think that he did anything wrong either. But maybe you think he did something wrong because you did it the quote unquote right way. You could have had those same opportunities when you played, but you didn't take the bait. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too, because there was an investigation that led to whatever. So I think the thing is this, Ryan. I don't think he did anything worthy of them to strip his Heisman from him. I think the other Heisman candidate, Heisman Trophy winners, probably feel the same way. But if I come here and say this and it's an investigation going or something like that, and I don't fully know what can happen or what, because what if they all come here and say this, and then the people from the Downtown Athletic Club of New York, which is the people that give the Heisman out, they say, yeah, we appreciate you guys and we feel that, but at the same time, when he was in college, this was illegal and this is what happened. It's I don't know how you go from one extreme to the next. I think that case has to settle and then they figure that out. But just get the man back his Heisman. I think get away from all the other dumb stuff. Just give the man back his Heisman.
No doubt about it. That would be the right thing to do. Absolutely. Bray, I want to go around the NFL if I could. Jimmy Garoppolo likely done in Las Vegas. We know that's probably one of the worst kept stories in the NFL. Where does a guy like Jimmy G end up, though? I'm thinking about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's had a fairly decent career. I mean, whether it was with the Patriots, with the 49ers, took the 49ers to the Super Bowl. They didn't get it done, but I think a lot of hope for his tenure in Las Vegas with the Raiders just didn't turn out like that. They're expected to void his $11 million. What do you make for Jimmy Garoppolo? Is he just a backup? Should he, or is he a starting quarterback in this league?
He's a backup quarterback. Yeah. Look, Jimmy Garoppolo, you can say what you want to about the winning percentage and how many. Look, he's a winning quarterback when he started in the NFL. I mean, he started for a franchise that has been on the precipice of a Super Bowl for the past 8 years, so that's one of it. But I think he's a really intelligent player, but I think he's a backup, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's been some really good quarterbacks that serve better as backups, and I think he's one of those guys. Never, ever once has he got in a situation where he's been the guy or the catalyst to win a major game or to win the big game that he was in. I mean, hey, he had an opportunity, and Kyle Shanahan, probably his best opportunity to win the Super Bowl, he put Jimmy G in great opportunity, and Jimmy G simply misses Emmanuel Sanders wide open at the end of the game, which could have won that game for them. So look, he's a cool guy. He's a great leader. Players love him. You won't hear anybody say anything negative about him around the franchise. He's a guy that I would love to have around my starting quarterback. He's a guy that I would like to have waiting in the wings as a number 2, because I think you still could go far with him if something happened to your number 1 guy. But he's not a guy that I want for number 1. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
OBJ likely done in Baltimore. I thought OBJ really had a nice year for Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, and really kind of separated this team. And with Zay Flowers on the other side, Baltimore's offense was really prolific. OBJ proving that he could still play.
Yeah, he did. I mean, you saw him towards the end of the season. Look, it takes a second to kind of get going. It took a second for the offense, and then it takes a second for his injury and like just to get back into that game mode. But once he got back in game mode, I mean, you saw him make a couple big plays towards the end of the season, like a couple weeks in and out, in a row. And then he was a guy that you could depend on. So this is the type of player he is. But I just think $15 million is a lot. And I said it last year. I said, what? They gave him what? $15 million coming off those 2 ACLs. But I think he's a guy that you want around your program. You've seen where he's been, Ryan. The last 2 times he's been in a team, one, he goes to Los Angeles Rams. They win the Super Bowl that year. He tears his ACL at halftime on his way to maybe even being MVP of that game. And then last year, adding some great value to the Baltimore Ravens, who get 1 game shy of the AFC Championship, thought they would go all the way. I actually picked them to win it all. So he's a guy that you can bring on the squad. He's a guy that can help. He's a guy that's experienced vet now, and also he's a leader now. He's a different player than he was with the New York Giants. Not only does he still have the skill, he's a guy that can help your young guys out.
No doubt about it. Guys, Eagles with a couple of retirements too. You know, the news yesterday that Eagles defensive tackle Fletcher Cox is likely to retire at some point this offseason. Kind of a changing of the guard in Philadelphia. And then earlier today, Jason Kelce announced his retirement. Take a listen to his press conference.
Thanks for coming, guys. We'll see how long this lasts. Not a good start. There you go.
I mean, just the minute he sat down, started crying. I mean, when something means that much to you for so long, Braylon, I mean, just an incredible career for Jason Kelce, 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, one of the best to ever do it, and he calls it a career. Travis Kelce was sitting in the press room crying along with him today. Just a remarkable career for Jason Kelce, but that decision to call it a career when you still are performing at, top 5 level at that position in the NFL, it's a tough decision to make.
It's a super tough decision. I look back at my decision to retire, and it was hard, and I actually didn't even retire when I left the NFL. I just could never bring myself to do it. I still never really retired. But you're talking about a guy that played for one franchise for the better part of 13 or 14 seasons. One franchise. He played for one franchise. He's won a Super Bowl with that franchise, lost a Super Bowl with that franchise. He's been there through the duration when they were bad. He's been there through the duration when they were good. And even still, Ryan, we got to go back to how this thing fell apart under Nick Sirianni. He didn't even want to possibly retire this year. It almost seems like a forced retire. And I think that's a lot of the emotion you're seeing. Yes, it's the emotion of leaving a thing, all you've ever known, leaving this franchise that you've won and lost and shared so many memories. Your brother's in the room as well. But I think a lot of that too, Ryan, is he didn't want to retire. But he didn't want to retire like this. I think it was how this season played out. It was just the chaos that seems to be the Philadelphia Eagles right now. I don't think he wanted to. And I think a lot of that sorrow and a lot of that emotion that you see, I think that's him like, damn, it didn't have to be this way. That it shouldn't have went this way. It shouldn't have gone down like this. I think a lot of that is that, but there are also happy times. Look, he brought a Super Bowl to one of the oldest storied franchises in the NFL that never had one. Like, that's something that you get to think about for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you feel like, just to your point, that we can't win a Super Bowl here anymore. Like, we're not going to win a Super Bowl next year, certainly, with Nick Sirianni as our head coach and the dysfunction that has happened within that organization towards the end of the year. So if I'm not going to be able to win a Super Bowl next year, what's the point in coming back and laying it all on the line and trying to do that? And maybe Fletcher Cox has the exact same position in his mind. Hey, we're not going to win a Super Bowl next year. We just don't have the infrastructure right now to do that. I'm not going to put my body, not going to put my health on the line for it. And especially when you're probably at a point, Braylon, where you just don't want to do it anymore. You know, when we were talking about Peter King retiring last week, Peter King wrote, after covering the NFL for 44 years, he wrote a column listing 4 reasons why he retired. And the first one was, he said he didn't care anymore. He had to care about, he had to muster up some energy for every coaching hire and every training camp and every game. And he didn't care anymore. And I feel like once you get to this point in your career, especially as a player, where you don't care to wake up and do the workout anymore, because, you know, if you could just show up and play the season, I'm sure you would, but it's everything you have to do in order to get your body ready to play that season that is the hard part. Practicing and playing is probably the easy part, I would think. Getting your body prepared and all of the necessary things that you have to do to your body 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year in an NFL season, that's the hard part.
And then also, too, it's one of those things where they're still under contract. So it's not a situation where they don't believe in Nick Sirianni. They don't believe in Philadelphia. So, hey, you know what? It's over. We'll go somewhere else. That's another part, too. One, they're still under contract, so that would be a whole thing. And then, two, who knows if you go somewhere else? Like, who wants to go somewhere else? When you've been somewhere so successful, you've been somewhere so good for so long, now you got to uproot and start over somewhere. Now you got to go through. So to add to what you said, Ryan, the getting ready, the film study, the ice tanks, the cold tubs, like the treatments, the getting injured, go through all that through the course of the season. Now you got to do it somewhere else, somewhere that's unfamiliar. So you got to take a chance. Now you got to start over. Like, no one wants to go through that. So the easy thing becomes to do, hey, look, man, it was a great ride. Let's just hang them up and just move on. Because there's so much money in other things now. There's so many different avenues that are available to you now as players, especially successful Super Bowl champion players. So many other avenues available to you. It makes sense to say, hey, throw the fingers up right in the sunset.
And he's an entertaining guy, man. If I'm one of those networks, I would throw a ton of money at Jason Kelce, because you could have all the X's and O's you want. You need somebody entertaining, right? I mean, Jason Kelce is about as entertaining as it gets. So all the best to Jason Kelce, but it does feel like a little bit of a turning of the tide in the NFC East as well. Philadelphia been a top dog in that division for a number of years, dating back to when they were in the Super Bowl and won it with Nick Foles and Carson Wentz. And then they got back with Jalen Hurts, only to lose to Patrick Mahomes. But now it feels like Philadelphia is on a little bit of a downswing. You don't really know what the Cowboys are. I mean,
you never do.
Cowboys are on a roller coaster unlike anything else. New ownership group in Washington. I would think that they would get it right there at some point, because they've got all the money and all the history that you could have, one of the storied franchises in the NFL. And then you have the New York Giants sitting there taking JJ McCarthy with the 3rd overall pick. I mean, I might just start being a Giants fan if that's the case.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, the Giants, man, they believe in Brian Daboll still somehow. Hey, they take JJ McCarthy. That's your new squad?
I mean, if they take JJ, I mean, that could be I'd have 3 teams, right? I'd have the Lions, obviously, up here. And then you've got the Chargers with Jim Harbaugh. And then, my goodness.
So you got so now your teams are Lions 1, and then you got
Chargers 2.
And then wherever JJ goes?
2A.
I was about to say, you put him over? Okay.
I can.
I'm like, JJ's your guy.
Right, exactly. I can't.
It's going to be fun, though.
Right?
Just don't go behind Danny Dimes. Like,
no. Oh, man.
Oh, my God.
All right, guys. One more break, and then we cannot let this day end with commenting on the Michigan basketball team and Juwan Howard and what happened yesterday in Columbus. We'll do that next, but first, a message from Big Boy.
I hope you guys are hungry, because Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Dive into fish and chips. Their new Parmesan crusted cod. Boy, that sounds good. Perfectly fried clam strip platter, or a delicious fish sandwich. A Big Boy must try the new mango iced tea. The ultimate complement to their popcorn shrimp, shrimp Alfredo, or shrimp stir fry. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy, and don't forget, every Friday night night. The all-you-can-eat seafood buffet only at your local Big Boy.
Every year, after a cold and dreary winter, Metro Detroiters come together for two things: Tigers baseball and the best damned party in the world. A new season of Tigers baseball is here, and we're bringing in the new season as only Woodward Sports knows how. Broadcasting live from the biggest party, it's the Grand Slam Festival at the Detroit Opera House. Come party with 4,000 Detroit sports fans, starting with Wake Up Woodward and rolling into Big D Energy. This is a party you don't want to miss, with Detroit's best DJs, food trucks, and of course, shots. Get your tickets now at GrandSlamFest.com. 21 plus. See you April 5th at the Grand Slam Fest.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking, and the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard.
Corner, jumper,
Tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience from one of our talented stylists. Enjoy a precision haircut, hot lather neck shave, scalp and neck massage, and a hot towel treatment to top it off. Enter for your chance to win the $50,000 Perfect Bracket Challenge. With more than 25 Metro Detroit locations, there's always a Lady Jane's near you. Lady Jane's Haircut for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Lady Jane's, it's wicked awesome.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
Woodward Sports has a new morning show. Start your day with Wake Up Woodward, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. live on Woodward Sports. You can join myself, that's Detroit Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, JB, and KG every single morning as we cover all of Detroit sports. Sports talk, banter, and live fan interaction, all on Detroit's #1 sports network, that is Woodward Sports.
Guys, can't let this day go by without talking about Michigan basketball. It is horrific. And I feel bad for the players. I really do. But they got nothing, man. 16 conference losses, 22 losses overall. John Ubacon tweeted out from Michigan's internal report below, it is hard to understand how anyone at U of M could conclude Howard's conduct in physically threatening highly regarded strength and conditioning coach John Sanderson does not violate its zero tolerance policy for Howard's anger issues. Now that was a completely separate situation over the weekend. John Sanderson and the University of Michigan have officially parted ways. He's the longtime strength and conditioning coach. I know. I'm like, do you just fire him right now? Do you wait to the end of the season? Is it inevitable? Do you wait? I don't know. I just don't know how much longer Juwan Howard could be the head coach of Michigan basketball. This is year 5, not year 1. You're not trying to rebuild anything. It is your program. What's happened on the court is embarrassing to begin with. That is its own part of it. But what's happened off the court is even every bit as I mean, if you say you can listen, if Ward Manuel says we've got a zero tolerance policy, Zero tolerance. And then there's an altercation with John Sanderson, or however you want to characterize it. And it was written up. John Sanderson, and I don't have it in front of me. I apologize. But John Sanderson was talking to Juwan Howard's son about something, talking about respect, and Juwan came over and didn't appreciate that, for lack of a better way to say it, and they got in some sort of verbal altercation, and Juwan Howard had to be held back. If that's not zero tolerance, I don't know what is. And then you look at, again, Braylon, what's happening on the court. Just, getting killed out there. Losing by 20-plus points to a team that can't sniff 500 in the Big Ten. Ugly.
Look, it's tough. Yeah, it's a tough situation for me because you're talking about a guy that I've known for a very long time, through Michigan, then University of Michigan, and then when I was living in Miami, he was playing for the Miami Heat. He's always been big bro. He's always shown love. He and his beautiful wife. My mom and I had a chance to hang out with them last year at the Chad Tough Gala with Coach Carr, who I was hanging with. But you have to separate things, and when we're separating my friendship and my alumnus loyalty to Juwan Howard, man, it's just not been a good thing on the court. It hasn't been a good thing for the growth of the basketball program. You're talking about, Ryan, you could argue at one point, man, Michigan was a top 5 basketball program. Now, we didn't win any national championships, but we played in 2 different games. We were in the Elite 8 every year almost. You saw what I can't think of his name, or Beeline, with John Beeline, what he was able to accomplish at the University of Michigan. Michigan was upper echelon. Even look at Juwan Howard's first 2 years and what they were able to do in the conference and in the tourney. So to go from that to this, and then the different things that have happened on the field, I am no judge because I have my fair share of things off the court. But you're talking about, you're talking about a guy that's a leader of men at the University of Michigan, the leaders and the best, and hasn't necessarily been the best as it relates to not being a coach in terms of decisions made, in terms of physical altercations and things of that nature. And then you just talk about leading these guys in basketball, X's and O's. You don't never know who's the coach. You don't know if it's Howard Isley's helping out. You don't know if it's Martelli. You don't know if it's Juwan Howard. So, I think while it's already behind, while it's already a failed experiment, if you will, I think it'd be a nice change of pace if he was able to just step down at the end of the season. That way, it would prevent him from getting fired. It would prevent something happening next year, or it even getting worse. And maybe he get a chance to get healthy. Maybe see what he wants to do. Maybe he wants to go to the NFL. Maybe he wants to try it again in college. But I think he needs to remove himself, and then after that, he can see what he wants to be in the future. But right now, it's not working out at the University of Michigan for Juwan Howard, and it's not working out for Michigan and other people involved.
It's always a gamble, I think, when former beloved players take over at their respective university or at their respective team. Remember when Alan Trammell took over for the Detroit Tigers? Yep. The way Joe Dumars left here in Detroit, I don't think Joe Dumars has ever been back to a Pistons function,
he probably won't,
to a team-sponsored function, because of the way it ended. It is always a gamble, whether it's Joe Dumars with the Pistons, whether it's Alan Trammell with the Tigers, whether it's Juwan Howard with Michigan.
Every situation isn't Jim Harbaugh.
Right. You are beloved as an athlete when you play, but then you come back and it feels like you are ruining the program. It feels like Juwan Howard has ruined the Michigan basketball program. It felt like at the end, Joe Dumars had ruined the Detroit Pistons. It felt like Alan Trammell had helped ruin the Detroit Tigers in 2003 when they're losing 119 games. You just felt this over time, and I think for Juwan Howard, I don't want to say save face, but to have some sort of to save face a little bit, announce that after the season you are going to resign from your post as Michigan basketball. Yeah. Because you are also, or Ward Manuel has to just, for lack of a better way to say it,
fire.
Listen, Ward, instead of standing up to guys like Jim Harbaugh, people that are like winning national championships for your team, why don't you stand up to this guy?
Yeah.
You know, somebody that's
and by the
really
way,
like embarrassed the program.
And by the way, Ward Manuel hired Juwan Howard.
Yeah.
That would be another thing in terms of your Ryan. Ward didn't hire Jim Harbaugh, and he went after Jim Harbaugh. Ward hired Juwan Howard. You're responsible for Juwan Howard. Go have something to say to Juwan Howard. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer that can go, and especially with the Sanderson situation. And look, by all accounts, and I wasn't there, so whatever. But by all accounts, it seemed like Juwan Howard was in the wrong. And we mentioned it, Braylon. That slap at Wisconsin changed everything.
It did.
Michigan basketball under Juwan Howard changed it. That minute right there, that split second, Juwan Howard slapped that Wisconsin coach. Everything changed.
Yeah, 100%. When the fight happened at Wisconsin with the assistant coach, because it was the altercation kind of was with the head coach, but then the actual physical altercation happened with the assistant coach and Juwan Howard. So things like that just don't happen. You know, it's very rare that you see a coach swing on a coach. And once that happened, Michigan, because Juwan Howard was Fab Five, he was Michigan lore, and Michigan, you know, he was one of the ones. They didn't fire him then. Ryan, I would almost ask you this question: if it wasn't Juwan Howard, if it wasn't a member of the Fab Five, he would have gotten fired.
Gone.
He would have been gone. And I think him actually...
Just like the Ohio State coach got fired a couple of weeks ago.
100%. And I think him staying actually was worse, because now you got players and parents that don't want to come to Michigan because of how the situation played out. Like, you call a spade a spade. You can't tell me there weren't recruits, top 5 recruits that were like, I don't know if I want to go there, man. That coach is already swinging and punching and fighting, and they're not necessarily knowing the X's and O's. If they would have moved on from him then, it would have been a better situation. Now it's gone from then to just getting worse and worse and worse and worse.
And then, of course, you have John Beilein working the desk at Big Ten Network yesterday talking about this game. Here's what John Beilein had to say about it. You ready for it? Here's the quote. "I don't have a comment right now. I really don't have a comment." That's it. He wasn't going to say anything, right? I mean, in respect to him, I guess, for not saying it. He can't, right? He can't.
What can he really say? To be honest, though, Kool-Aid, like, you really can't say anything, because the only thing you can say is, like, it wouldn't be favorable for Juwan, and you're, as a Michigan guy, Beilein's like, look, I'm not going to put my guy in a situation. I'm not going to say this. That's all you can do. He stay classy. Yeah.
That's it. Speaking of classy, the Detroit Pistons were outclassed yesterday in Orlando yesterday.
You're funny.
113-91. Oh, man. Evan Fournier going back to Orlando, the Big O. I'll tell you, though. These Pistons,
they play hard.
With Fontecchio and Duran, and I mean, they're kind of fun to watch a little bit, even though they're not winning. I've watched more Pistons basketball over the last couple of weeks since this trade than I have in like 2 years, because I find them to play, at least they're very entertaining to me for whatever reason.
They usually lose by close. That was the first time I've seen them beat by more than about 7 or so. It's usually tight until the end of the game, and they lose by about 4, 5, or 6. But that's the first time I've seen them lose double digits in a minute.
Yeah, how about Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, and Asar Thompson going a combined 2 for 15 from 3-point range? That's not going to get it done on most nights.
They don't have any 3-point shooters, which is
got
nuts.
Nothing,
they got
man.
no 3-point shooters.
Yeah. I do think they need to trade
right.
Cade, or they need to trade like Cade or Duran or Ivy. They got to trade one of those guys, maybe even 2 of those guys.
Kool-Aid, how do you trade Cade Cunningham from this current Detroit Pistons roster? Is there a way, or does it even make sense?
Me personally, it's not Cade. If I was going to trade one of those guys, it couldn't be Cade. And I like all 3 of those guys. But it's like, if you're going into this off season and you don't have like a direction to really come and bring the right types of vets and complementary pieces in, then where do you do next?
Right.
And that's where I understand where Ryan's point is coming from.
I mean, just you got to get some sort of veteran in. I mean, you look at Orlando, man. I mean, they get Paolo Banchero, and look what they're doing. You know, I mean, 35 wins already for Orlando.
No.
Look at Cleveland. Look at some of these other teams. Houston. You know, I know Houston's not like some like great team in the West, but you look at how far away they are ahead of Detroit. They've got 26 wins.
Look at the Blazers.
The Pistons haven't had 26 wins in 2 years. You know,
look at the Blazers. Like, look, the Blazers aren't. They're not making the playoffs by any stretch of the imagination. But you see their young player, Scoot Henderson, playing well, and you see them making some, like, looking a lot better. You see them looking like something for the future. They're going to be a darn good team in a year or two. But you see it happening. I think that's the biggest thing for most people. Kool-Aid is like you don't see anything happen for the Pistons. It just doesn't seem like, regardless of the picture, it doesn't seem like the coach. Just doesn't seem like it's moving in the right direction.
I mean, to Ermanni's credit, you look at Orlando, and they got, Paolo Banchero. They did get Franz Wagner, but they made sure to also go get those kind of younger vets like Gary Harris and Wendell Carter Jr.
That's right.
You know, Houston went out there and got a little bit older vets, with Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks. The Pistons have to make some type of move, either similar to what Orlando did or similar to what the Houston Rockets did, or else they're going to fail this rebuild.
Speaking of guys that can pack their bags, Troy Weaver. I think Troy Weaver and Juwan Howard can get 2 men in a truck or something like that. Pack your bags and please leave us alone.
Hey, I know a lot of people that help Troy Weaver pack his stuff. I got guys in the wings waiting for that. I'll be one of them.
Oh, man. Oh,
like, hey,
God.
I call off. Hey, Ryan, if I call off work, it's because I'm helping Troy Weaver move out of town.
They'll be calling you a hero, bro.
Oh, my God. Hey, you mentioned the Wings off tonight. They did play over the weekend. Big game on Saturday against Florida, and just kind of fell flat. 4-0. Florida won over the weekend. I think a lot of people were pointing to that game to see, a little bit of a measuring stick for the Detroit Red Wings to see where they are. A lot of people believe Florida is the team to beat when it comes to the Stanley Cup. The Red Wings still hold a wild card, the first wild card. They are tied with Tampa Bay now. They are both 6 points clear of the Islanders, so 6 points ahead of the Islanders for a wild card spot. Tampa and Detroit tied with 72 points, and Detroit right now holds that tiebreaker over Tampa. Detroit is 6 points shy of Toronto for third place in the Atlantic. So can they catch Toronto? Can they hang on to a playoff berth? It's going to be time will tell when it comes to the Detroit Red Wings.
Look, Detroit Red Wings, I told you before the season started, they're going to get in. Just like I said, this year going to the Tigers season, Tigers are going to win the championship. They will hold off. They will get in. Look, at the end of the day, Toronto, we got to get over Toronto because Toronto, all they do is get in and lose in the first round. Last year was the first time they didn't lose in the first round. They lost in the second round. So, look, Toronto, you guys have had your chance. Detroit's going to get that spot, Ryan. I'm calling it now.
Amen to that. All right, Braylon, this is the last day you say we can call you a hero.
Yes.
So with that, I'll let the hero close us out today. Hell of a day out of you today, man.
I appreciate you guys. Appreciate it. This is Woodward Sports Network. This is Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. This is what we do. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you guys for listening. We're going to talk more and more and more about the Lions and the draft and what they may do. But guess what? I want to start talking about the free agent moves because I think we're so much focused on the draft. Well, we know Brad Holmes is good. Let's start focusing on some of these free agent moves and see what guys are available and what guys the Lions could go after. But I'll say that for tomorrow. But in the meantime, from my man Pete Spivak and from my man Brandon, a.k.a. Kool-Aid, and Ryan Ermanni, love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
We are Ermanni Edwards Maz, and we will see you later. Always.